everybody, and welcome back to the Curious Realms continuing coverage of Stairway to the Stars here at the fabulous Luxor in Las Vegas, Nevada. We are here with Jason Quitt right now. He is the author of Egyptian Postures of Power, as well as Astrogenesis. He's here doing a presentation on his work for Astrogenesis this week. And we had a chance to sit down at dinner last night, and just looking at some of your research and what you have gone into is absolutely phenomenal, man. The way that you peel back the literal layers of connection between various cultures, their symbology, and the connection between that and sacred geometry.
Yes.
How did you first get into this field of study, Jason?
I first got into this study through out-of-body experiences, to tell you the truth, and that took me into the paranormal, took me into mysticism, took me into shamanism, healing, sacred geometry. So I've been doing this. I've had my first out-of-body experiences when I was about 22 years old. So that's around 2002.
Oh, wow.
So
were they purposeful and intentful out-of-body experiences, or were they something that just started happening to you?
they were something that started to happen to me based on sleep paralysis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Because I actively started trying to do astral projection and things like that, and sleep paralysis was part of my problem. That's like where things ended for me frequently, was waking up, not being able to move, things like that. So interesting.
That's what it happened to me without me trying. It was like a sleep problem. And I would wake up in the middle of the night, everything's frozen, my mind's awake, I'm like trying to wake up, I can't. And I started to have paranormal experiences in the sleep paralysis state. And I started to feel like something in the room with me. Walking around, sitting on the bed. Sometimes it would climb up and you'd be suffocated. Feels like you're being crushed. And I got so frustrated one night that this was happening that, now you have to remember, something started happening to me in the sleep paralysis. It felt like my body became the sarcophagus. Like my body was the tomb, and I had another body inside my body.
As though it was a literal husk.
It was a literal husk.
Wow.
And I could actually like move. I could felt like this other body inside of me was able to like move around.
Interesting.
And one night I was just like trying to get out so badly to wake up. Like I wasn't thinking out-of-body experience. I was thinking, wake up, Jason. You know, so I'm trying to wake myself up, move an arm. And I shook so hard I popped out of my body. And it was just like a near-death experience. Like I found myself above my bed, looking down at my body, and that dose of reality just hits you. And then I noticed at the foot of my bed was a very tall shadow being. And it scared the crap out of me. I was so scared because it's like, I thought I'm dead. I died. This is real. This is reality. There's the Grim Reaper. I'm out of here. And it got sucked back in my body, woke up, heart pounding. And ever since that door has been opened, that first experience, I found myself being able to put myself into sleep paralysis.
Wow.
So it's like my body will fall asleep at night, the body will be frozen, and then I could start moving that other body around, pop out and have those experiences. So that is what led me on this kind of spiritual journey. And, you know, things change. Once you start doing this. I started to get visitations from different beings. I started to get communication from different things.
Wow.
It's like you're opening up to another world. And that other world is starting to see you as well. It's like, oh, this one's awake, just like Neo waking up in the Matrix.
Absolutely. And now, interestingly, I don't suffer sleep paralysis much anymore. But from what you're saying, you are basically using sleep paralysis as a modality for yourself. That is fascinating to me because most people I know who practice astral projection, deep meditation, things like that, like that's the part that they're trying to avoid, Jason, is the sleep paralysis part.
Well, that's because it's called sleep paralysis, and that's not what it is.
Yeah.
What it is a separation of dimensions. So what's happening is the physical body is now entering into a sleep mode, and when the body enters into the sleep mode, it shuts down. It goes into paralysis.
Yeah.
So that's what happens naturally.
Yes, it does that so that you don't flail and hurt yourself, so that you don't fall out of bed.
The
all kinds of
issue
things.
is now you're aware. So now your consciousness is aware of the process of turning the body off, and it starts freaking out because it doesn't like being not in control of the body.
Yeah.
But what's happened is there is a separation. So in that space, and we can call it the hypnagogic space between waking and dreaming, in that tiny space, that is the space of the astral. That is where you have access to the astral world, and the astral body then awakens. All right, so that mind of yours that's screaming to wake up out of the sleep paralysis is actually the mind of the astral body. All right.
Okay.
So using that mind, it is you.
Sure.
Using that mind
in the purest sense,
yes.
It's you.
You kind of will yourself or roll yourself out of your body. And this is where my contact experience in my early 20s started. And, at first was insane. Like, it's hard to get into that. It's you call it like astral time travel.
Yeah.
Like being taken out of your body and like going through portals and things.
I did dream work for a long time, going to sleep with intention, things like that.
Yeah.
Once again, trying to have the astral experience. It was either sleep paralysis or the feeling of falling.
Yeah.
One of the two would happen, and I would be jerked out of it. And it's very hard to get past that. It's very hard to break that mental barrier and understand that like what's happening right now should not be a moment of panic. This is a natural moment,
Yeah, and this is the secret, is that when you enter into the sleep paralysis state and you feel your body like numbed out in that meditative process or sleep process, the first instinct you have is fear and to fight that.
Yeah.
You actually need the complete opposite. You need to allow that to fully take over.
It is truly one of the only times where your brain goes into all three modes of emergency: flight, fight, and freeze, all at the same time. And it's normally hard to overcome one of those when it happens, but when they all three occur at the same time, it can be very, very overwhelming. Absolutely.
And that's the problem. So we have to do the complete opposite and to just kind of allow it. And it's almost like this warm blanket comes over you, so you get this like really warm feeling. And what I'm describing is literally what people describe as going through death as well, because it is like the little death of life.
Sure.
And then once that vibration takes over you fully, what happens is you have that separation. So the separation of the astral body happens after that stage. After that warmth comes in, you pop out.
Yeah. So at what point did these sessions of yours and connection to the astral plane start leading into the world of sacred geometry? And when did that start being revealed to you?
Well, first it started with simple messages, which were, before you go further into this world, you need to heal yourself. Because they said that that world is inhabited, that world has some danger to it, and the way that my energy body was at that time was very weak. And they said because my energy body was weak, I could bring back attachments, entities. I could get these attachments that become parasitic. And they said over time, it can cause illnesses, it can cause suffering, and shorten my lifetime. So they said the only way that I can continue on this path is I have to learn how to heal myself. And that's where my path led me into the Egyptian postures and sacred geometry, because our physical body is sacred geometry in the purest form. We follow the structures of nature. And by learning about the body, how it moves, how energy moves through it, you're consciously using your body to control or manipulate your energy body.
Absolutely. And that tie between the two, especially the tie between sacred geometry and our physiology to begin with. Once you start breaking down ratios, angles, things like that, like there's a ton of sacred geometry. Even whenever you look at Da Vinci's Man, as a prime example of that.
And the whole thing, and Da Vinci showed this in his artwork, as he put the circle and the square around it with very specific proportions to show you that not only was the physical form following the sacred geometry, but he also hid solar geometry in there, earth geometry in there, lunar geometry in there. And he showed how every single one is connected to the physiology of the physical body. So we are a reflection of the stars, of the sun, of the moon, of the earth. And by understanding that we're set up in the same thing, we can tap into all of these things.
And quite a bit of your stuff in Astral Genesis starts getting into a lot of these angles and a lot of these sacred geometry points, especially once you start looking at solar circles, things like that, symbols that have been used cross-culturally, across continents culturally. It's pretty remarkable when you start seeing the similarities not only between the images, but between the angles used in the images that represent things like the distance of the Earth to the sun, the tilt of the Earth, all kinds of things.
I have no idea how they figured this out. They were very smart.
I have no idea how you figured this out, because these are images and things that researchers have been talking about for decades. Decades. And yes, they have been tied together. Like, this is strange that these people on this continent and this continent use the same symbology. At least a version of it. But when you start breaking down the actual angles of the images, and they are exactly the same, it's phenomenal.
So that's the discovery, is that I was looking at hieroglyphs, artifacts, architecture, petroglyphs from all over the world, and I noticed that they were following a very specific motif, a sacred geometry motif that captured the angles, the ratios, the distances of the sun, of the tilt of the earth, and all of these things were incorporated into the sacred science of these symbols. So this is a key that's been hidden for thousands of years, going all the way back to the most ancient cultures of Göbekli Tepe even. And they all contain these ratios, these angles, describing our connection from our physical body to the sun and the earth. And the stars, and the cycles of the stars. So when this clicked and I found the code, I had to stop everything and I had to write the book just so that I could publish it and start talking about it, because I was so excited I would have just spilled the beans.
It is once again a phenomenal realm of revelation. Just our conversation last night, what I've had a chance to go through and read today, just cursorily at the booth, things like that. Absolutely incredible information, Jason. And for you to be revealing this right now, especially with all the research shows that are going on, all the things that work like Graham Hancock, stuff like that is out right now showing the connection of these ancient civilizations, to see not only how these angles, how these images were used by them, but how they are carried forward even into today.
Yes.
I mean, the 23 degrees, things like that, that is the exact proportions that, you know, the Masons use in their symbology, all that kind of stuff. So it tracks right up to the esoteric movements of the Middle Ages and today and beyond.
Yeah, it's right in our faces.
Yeah.
Like even the cover, I put it on the cover, the angles.
Yeah.
Because it's right in our faces all the time, but we don't understand that language.
Yep.
And what this book is trying to do is not only teach you the language, but teach you why they chose to do this language.
Absolutely.
And the mysticism and the secret teachings that came into the mystery schools,
Yep.
why is it even there?
Yeah.
Because it goes back to this relationship to the stars.
Absolutely. And even right here, whenever you're talking about, you know, the seal of Isis, the feminine god, right here in the middle, you've got the big letter M. Like, that is exactly what the Knights Templar used for the sacred feminine, for Mary Magdalene, Mary, everything else. So all of this stuff tracks through everywhere. It's amazing.
This cover I designed because it's an Easter egg.
Yeah.
I put so many secrets just in the cover.
Amazing.
From learning the language of the ancients.
Absolutely amazing work. Let everybody know where they can go to get your books. I mean, I will, of course, I want to add these to the Curious Realm store so our readers can easily find it, but where can people buy your books? Where can they catch up with your research, watch videos, things like that, Jason?
I'm easy to find. I'm on Amazon, so you can find these books on Amazon. If you look up my name, Jason Quitt, you can find my talks on YouTube. Very easy to find. And if you want to go to my personal website where I have crystals, books, and other things, it's thecrystalsun.com.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Things are bustling again. I'm going to let you get back to your booth. While you're online checking out all of the amazing information from Jason Quitt, everybody, make sure to stop on by Curious Realm. CuriousRealm.com is where you can find all of the episodes. That is where you can like, follow, subscribe, share. That's where you can find our bookstore with all of our guest books, as well as our videos page where you can easily follow all of our guests' YouTube. Stay tuned through these commercial messages. We will be right back with our continuing coverage of the Stairway to the Stars conference right here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, right after this.